Hello, everybody. I hope you can all hear me now. Thank you very much, Petra, for your kind introduction, and welcome to our Mobility as a Service Roundtable. So first up is Ms. Darja Kocjan, the Director of Passenger Transport at Slovenian Railways, who has extensive experience in the industry, economy, and in the automotive world. Second up is Luigi Ksawery Luca, Director of Connected Technologies and Mobility at Toyota Motor Europe, whose main mission right now is to help transition Toyota from a traditional automotive company to a mobility company. Next, Ms. Victoria Markewitz, Business and Development Principal at ViaVan, who is the urban expert in the background and strategic management consulting. And last but not least, Rodrigo Caetano, the global business developer at Scania, who works as the lead of defining the future of the business and autonomous transport mobility. Welcome, everybody. Before we start, I would just like to tell our audience, if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to put them in the chat, and we'll do our best to pick up your questions at the end of the roundtable. So first up, Ms. Darja. In your presentation, I've noticed that the Slovenian railways are talking about how to solve the first and the last mile mobility in cities. For me, it's very interesting to see a railway company trying to solve the issue and, of course, address car sharing. Who would have thought, like 10 years ago, that a railway company would be speaking at an automotive event? This is why I really believe that mobility as a service is a really disruptive business model concept. In regard to this, my question is, what is the role of railways in the mobility as a service ecosystem? Ms. Darja?
Thank you all. Nice to see you. Well, our vision is to help to move for our passenger from point A to point B. Because we strongly believe that a good service with the railways as a bond and one ticket for the whole journey is our story for the future. We believe that passenger will use their mobile phones to pay the ticket, to make all the reservation, to look at all the information which are available, and this fast world is something what is simply the fact, and we do want to offer the full service. Other thing is that we as a company were a leading partner of consortium which developed, implement and now maintains also a software for integrated passenger transport in Slovenia. So we do have experience with multimodality.
Very interesting insight. Thank you very much, Ms. Darja. My next question goes to Mr. Luigi. For the beginning, could you please share with us why is it so important to become a mobility provider and not just, a vehicle vendor? Mr. Luigi, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you, and I was muted. So good morning, everyone. Sorry for that.
Hi.
To reply to your question, I think first of all, let's make it clear. We want to keep selling cars. This is our core business. So this is what we have been doing for many years, and we will keep doing for many years onwards. And we will be selling cars to also other mobility providers. And we truly believe we have a strong advantage here, because in the future, convenience and durability are going to play a major role in this place. So this will still be a big and relevant part of our business. Nevertheless, we all understand that moving into mobility it means that we want and have to capture where the value will move tomorrow. And in the value chain, let's say providing all the services around mobility, being a provider of mobility is where the end customer will have the contact point. And this is why we are organizing ourselves to be capable of selling final mobility solutions, but also services. So the whole, let's say, value chain around the mobility space. So it is important that we keep connected with the end customer, and the end customer is moving from customer to user. So we want to be connected with the end user, and the focus will be in delivering a true experience, a mobility experience, a brand experience, and people remembering you about the experience that you delivered to them. I think it is a bit less a data business. So far, it did not prove to be, let's say, nobody really proved it's really providing, big money, I would say. But of course, data is important, and collecting data it's key. But at this point in time, I think our focus is really about delivering the service to the end customer and being recognized by the service that we deliver.
That is a very great view, Luigi. Thank you very much. My next question goes to Miss Victoria. Public transport hasn't really changed in the last 20 to 30 years. You know, it's always kind of been operating on the fixed routes, either on trails or routes or roads. How has on-demand shared mobility changed the way we people move?
That's exactly right. So most of the innovations we've seen in public transport over the past decades have either been around maybe new engines with electric mobility coming up also, or maybe there's a booking app that you can buy your ticket online, and this was already a great innovation. But what didn't really change in the past decades, that new mobility modes were added to the portfolio of public transit. And this is really what happened also because of the smartphone and Wi-Fi penetration, in that on-demand mobility provided really is now a new means of transport, public transport that sits somewhere between a bus and a taxi. And what changed about this is that passengers really are able to travel much more individualistic. So they're not bound to a fixed route. They're not bound to a fixed schedule. So this caters much more the needs of the 21st century, that if you want to travel now, but you don't need to have your own vehicle, you can travel now in the direction that you want to travel. So this is also another trend that we see, in that if on-demand ride-pooling services are implemented the right way, people are willing to give up their private vehicle because they do have a new mode of transport that caters for their needs just as well as the private vehicle does. But most importantly, I think what the best success is of those models is that we have a lot more shared mobility and a lot less individualistic mobility on the streets, and thereby reducing emission, reducing congestion.
Perfect. As a person who doesn't own a vehicle and really cares about the environment, I really love this concept. My next question goes to Rodrigo, since we're talking about public transport as well. Rodrigo, would you agree to deploy an autonomous bus in public transport in mixed traffic as of right now?
Well,
hello.
To some extent, yes. But of course, when we are talking about bus and transportation of people, it has all of its complexity, mainly regarding the safety of the passengers. So if it's a controlled environment, dedicated lane and so on, dedicated infrastructure, that would be possible. But I don't think that we're going to see this today. So I could not do it today because there are still a regulation that needs to be in place. And also the infrastructure needs to be prepared to receive autonomous vehicles. And I'm talking here about big vehicles, heavy transport applications. When it comes to pods and so on, or smaller vehicles, we have seen a lot of deployments already today, though it's under limited conditions as well. But yes, that would be interesting to deploy autonomous bus today on public transportation. But just to bear in mind, Scania has also worked with trucks, and when it comes to trucks, we do have operations, commercial operations with autonomous trucks today. but that's a different kind of environment. And I just want to comment on Luigi's and Victoria's that I fully agree with you. As Toyota, we want to sell vehicles, but we want to provide a platform, a mobility platform that's beyond the vehicle. We want to be part of the whole ecosystem. And for that, the transport.
Okay, thank you very much, Luigi. Sorry, Rodrigo. I think you froze a little bit. So I will go to the next question. Ms. Darja, could you please explain to us how your offering of the integrated public transport single ticket works right now in Slovenia?
Well, at the moment, this integrated public ticket is available, so the passenger can use the bus or train from point A to point B with a single same ticket. This is the project of Ministry. We were just the leading partner in this story, and it goes on really well. It was started for the student and for the schooling population, and now there are also general tickets which are used. So in practice, it goes really very well. And then the refund is done through a calculation model, which is on historical information of past transport routes and the share and percentage of transport company of all the transport in public service which was done in previous years. So this is the model of the moment, but in the future it will be based on the concept of fair clearing. So I think Slovenia as a small country can develop such a model of integrated public ticket, and it goes really well at the moment, and it's user-friendly.
Yes, I agree. I have the ticket myself.
Okay.
And I really like using it because I only have to search for my wallet for one single card. I don't have to look at, for 3 different ones.
Yes.
And as I mentioned, I traveled a lot. So my next question goes to Luigi. Today we have, besides a lot of cards, also so many mobility apps out there from different providers. My challenge when I'm traveling to different cities in Europe is I always have to find the right app and download it for every single transport. When do you think we will have a single login app for all types of transport all around Europe? Luigi?
One app for all the transportation, unlikely. Unlikely to happen, and I think we indeed are now targeting more apps than cars very soon. As you said, there are many cars and there are more and more apps. And we, at the same time, we are all obsessed by the idea of integrating everything into one app. And we are all ourselves, and every other company is trying to bring everything into one app to have all the verticals, all the solutions, and owning all the solutions. It's a major challenge, and I don't think it has an immediate answer. On one side, I think that the app ecosystem itself will evolve in the future. So we might have apps today, but we might not have apps tomorrow, and we are going to a more integrated experiential approach when it comes to interaction with the digital world, which means that probably even the apps themselves will have evolved since. So the only way forward that I see is through integration, which means that collaboration and cooperation between the different apps provider and service providers is key to succeed. So you should be able to access the same services through different channels and through different systems. So the more the systems are integrated, the more you're capable of replying to this. So you should be, as a company, you should be open, totally open to this. Of course, it has implication from a GDPR point of view, it has implication from a business model point of view and the relationship with the customer. Our priority as a company should be focusing on delivering the experience, as I mentioned before. I think this is what is making the strong link between you and the customer, whatever the channel the customer came in through.
I completely agree. Thank you very much, Luigi. Back to traveling, Victoria, in your personal opinion, which European city do you believe has the best mobility as a service strategy and why?
I think two factors come into play when defining what is a great mobility as a service strategy. So one would be to have a lot of diverse, different mobility options to choose from, going back to the point that if I have a mobility option for all of my different use cases, shared, not shared, fast, slow, then I'm able to leave my own car at home, get rid of my own car. So I have to have a lot of options. And then second of all, those options have to be very easy to be researched and to be booked. As you said, I don't want to have tens of different mobility apps on my smartphone. So if I consider those two factors being important, I would say that Berlin, where I'm living, is doing a pretty great job in combining all of this, having a mass app powered by the public transport, who is offering not only traditional public transport, but also innovative options ranging anything from scooter to car sharing, bike sharing, on-demand ride pooling, traditional bus, subway, etc. I think this is a really great way, but I also have to think back of my great memories from the ITS Congress in Copenhagen, when in 2017 we could also do a lot of great intermodal trips through the MAS app. Copenhagen already had for several years. So thinking back of that experience, Copenhagen is just missing an on-demand mobility component to even have more broader portfolio and choices to choose from. But I think those would be two great cities. And but what will be interesting to see, and also to integrate some of the questions that are also popping up, is that this mobility portfolio will even become even more important because of COVID-19, as we see strong changes in mobility patterns, people working more from home. So we really need the mobility portfolio to be adapted to cater for new mobility patterns that people will now adopt to, compared to the traditional commuting patterns that were in place before that. But let's see how the cities will react to that.
Great answer. Thank you very much, Victoria. I too am very excited to see how this is going to roll out. And to maybe return the topic back to autonomous, Rodrigo, do you believe there will be autonomous vehicles in public transportation in the coming 3 to 4 years, as predicted by some?
To some extent, yes, but it's not going to be, let's say, a heavy deployment. It's going to start in the developed countries where investments are being done and to a limited extent. But yes, and we at Scania in 2022, during the World Cup in Qatar, this has been announced, together with Volkswagen and other companies in the group, we are developing an autonomous systems of buses and smaller vans or shuttles to be deployed in Doha during the World Cup and beyond. And this is all integrated through an app for booking, scheduling, and so on. So it's a combination of things. And yeah, taking it from this perspective, yes, in 2-3 years, we're going to see it.
Exciting. I can't wait to see where mobility goes. So I received some questions from the chat. One of them being, do you see the rise of digitalization and trend in stay-at-home and work/buy/live online as a solution, challenge, or problem for your mobility services and solutions? Luigi?
Sorry, I will need to ask you to repeat the question. I couldn't catch it.
Of course. Do you see the rise of digitalization and trend in stay-at-home and work/live online as a solution, challenge, or problem for your mobility services and solutions?
I think as Victoria mentioned, it's creating a totally new patterns. So it's really too early to give a reply to this. We are also at an early stage in our development. So for us, everything is an opportunity right now, because of course we did not consolidate strongly in one direction or the other. So we have the flexibility and agility to go in different directions. But I believe that mobility, regardless of this specific pandemic pause, is not going to fundamentally change, and this is going to be a huge trend in the future. So there will be multiple patterns and multiple opportunities. You need to stay flexible in order to capture them.
Yes, adaptation is very important. We have time for one more question. Victoria, this one is going to be for you. Ready? What will be the role / importance of data monetization in new mobility business models?
I think this is a great question, because also this question has not really been answered as of now. So I'm personally a strong proponent that everything around public mobility should be also a public good. So I personally think it's great if public transportation companies, if cities, public transportation authorities take the initiative and create a mass environment, because then also the citizens' data is within a public institution, and they will then take care of the data. It will be interesting to see if the public bodies will be up for the challenge, or if in fact private companies will tap in more into the market and in fact monetize the data in a different way than a governmental institution would do so. So I guess it's a paradigm question. Who will lead this mobility as a service change and mission, and what will happen to the data? So this is up for the future to be seen.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Victoria. And thank you to everybody on this panel for your time. We really appreciate you coming. Thank you to the audience for attending. And back to you at the studio, Petra.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.